Hello everyone, this is the second vlog of e-learning technologies. In this vlog, we will discuss about what is HTTP and HTTPS and where it is useful basically, and what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. Also, we will discuss what is the client and server model, and like that we will understand about the concept of how any website or any web page which we are using daily to daily basis nowadays, or any how these when we accessing basically any URL on how that request will be sent and how that response we will receive from the server and how that communication are happening. So let's jump into the second vlog of Elena's technology. Okay, so the first we will discuss about what is a client and server model. So basically, if you can see my screen, there is a client left side and right side is server. So if I will give a very small example or very basic example I can say. In this example, when you are accessing any website, okay, so when we are typing www.google.com, what will happen? So when if you are using a first time any website on it, that request will be go to the server destination server where that particular website is hosted or running on, and from that particular website the response you will receive back. Okay. And like that it all things are happening in network, which we can say internet is a huge network. If suppose any website is hosted in America, if any website is hosted in the UK, so or any like servers are present on that particular location, geolocation, so from that location we will receive a response. And suppose there is a in any website, if you can see there's a images are there, there's a text are there, there's a um, uh, well, videos are there, there's a JavaScript files are there, there's a CSS files are there. Every file, sometime what happened, a big application or big web application, it takes some time to load because the huge scripts are there, web pages are there, in which the images are big inside, will take a time to load it. So every request which we'll send, and in the response we will receive that means to say like one request will be sent first, in which it will send for basically I can say for image, then the response will receive in which the image data will come and it will show on the browser. Like that will be the completely example I can give, in which you can understood like what is a client and server model and how it is related to that, because that HTTP and HTTP protocols which we are using are the web application related protocols, hypertext transfer protocols, and through that we are interacting to the application server or server. So let's jump into what is HTTP first. So what is HTTP? HTTP full form is Hypertext Transport Layer Protocol, has basically Hypertext Transport Protocol, and HTTP protocol used for data exchange purpose on a web application. As I already given example, it used for a data exchange purpose. Like we can say that HTTP protocol is a client and server protocol, means requests are initiated or initialized by a web browser or a client side. Okay, and there will be a different request sent to the server. As I already mentioned, like different requests will be sent for image, one request for video, one request, text will be one request. Like that way, multiple JS file for one request sent to the server, and send to server to fetch text, that particular text, images, video, layout, etc. HTTP protocol is unencrypted protocols. What is unencrypted protocols means? It is a like I can give a small example. Suppose if you are sitting in a uh, mall or any open Wi-Fi area, or and if you are accessing, or if suppose any malicious user sitting on the same network, or that particular user also using the same Wi-Fi and start sniffing by open source, there are multiple open source tools are available. Through that, they if you are accessing suppose any website in which you will enter your credentials, username, password for any website which is not using HTTPS, means what will happen, that request will send from like similar way as a client and server, and and in that your username and password will pass. And in that particular request, you will that particular malicious user will sniff that request or able to read that request and understand what is your username and password for that particular website. So means there is no encryption present on that particular protocol. In this particular protocol, I can say, and easily anyone can be read that because there is a multiple open source tools are available which are used for sniffing purpose by the malicious users. Okay, so that's is I think I give a proper example for protocol which is an unencrypted protocol. It is a request response protocol. I can also say the HTTP protocol gives a way to interact with the web resources such as HTML5. Yes, we all know like the all maximum website are using HTML pages, and this protocol is also related to that HTTP protocol gives a way to interact with the web resources such as the HTML pages. It's, I think, very straightforward. HTTP use different request method to perform various operations. So every applications are using different methods. I think the developer who are developing these like web applications or who know, they will more understand that point. They are using different method: get method, post method, head method, trace method, the put method, option, connect. These methods are used for different purposes. But few methods are sometimes very dangerous if it is enabled on the server and we are not using it. And if suppose the developer is forget to disable that server or on server side, and then it will be very dangerous. So such methods are a delete put method. So if such methods are enabled, and so maybe there is a chance like as a malicious user use such method to exploit the web application to take over the web application, or I can say like sometime hacking also can possible through these malicious methods. So while using such method, the developer should be very careful while implementing such method. These method also use in APIs also. Okay, so like no, normal method, the get method, post method is a very common method which we use in the web application. So it will use for sending a data from one, I can say one page to another page like that way. In post get method, we know that data will be sent in the get request in the URL, we can say, if we are sending. And post method, all the data will be sent in a post body method. So like that way, different methods. So I will prefer, I can say that you can have to read these methods to understand the concept, basically why these methods are used and what are the importance of these methods. Let's jump into the next part, which is called HTTPS. HTTPS full form is a hypertext transfer protocol, secure. Okay, so basically this is a HTTP secure version. So many things are similar, but main important point is here I want to highlight is HTTP as a protocol is the secure version of HTTP protocol. HTTP is an encrypted protocol, which I already explained. In this particular call, if anyone is using any website, I can say like any website has implemented HTTPS properly, so any malicious user try to sniff the traffic of the in between, so he or she not able to understand the particular request data which is passing from client to server, okay, and receiving back. So because it is encrypted, what data will be go as an encrypted form. And encryption, I can say ciphers are a huge topic, and maybe we will in future, like next vlogs, so I will also discuss on that particular vlogs also, what is the importance of that and what are the types of encryption are there and like that way. So encryption protocol, which helps to increase the security while uh, data transfer time. Okay. Uh, Next point I want to highlight is like HTTPS gives a data integrity while sending and receiving data from through encryption. Okay, so I have written like that way. I can say I wrote that way because it will very easily to understand point wise point. Okay, so I have in particular these document I mentioned like that way. Okay, so uh, data integrity means like if suppose any malicious user, like I already given example, sitting in such a Wi-Fi using the same Wi-Fi malicious user is using. So in that way, the malicious user maybe there is just use some tools to manipulate the data which is passing. okay, in HTTP. But when we are using the HTTPS, there is a no way to do because the data is going in an encrypted way. So the malicious user will not able to understand that what is the data is passing because it is passing as an encrypted way. So similarly in HTTPS also we are using such method. So as I already mentioned, these methods should be used very carefully before implemented. Few methods which are like delete, put, trace, I can say these methods should be implemented, patch should be implemented very careful way. Okay, now just quickly jump into what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. So I created one a small table. Okay, below below mentioned are the some common and important difference between HTTP and HTTPS. So HTTP full form is a full form hypertext transfer protocol, and HTTP as a full form hypertext transfer protocol secure. The second is the URL start with HTTP. In HTTP it will start by HTTPS. The common port I can say HTTP use port 80 and HTTPS use port 443. The application data transfer over unencrypted channel it will and in HTTPS it will use encryption channel to data transfer purpose. HTTP protocol works with the application layer wise, and HTTPS protocol works with the transport layer. HTTP not required TLS SSL certificate, and HTTPS required TLS SSL certificate. This is an important point which I will explain next points in that. Typically, we can say that HTTPS and HTTP are the same protocol with the difference of port number, and when HTTP is simply put it using HTTP over SSL. So I can say if the HTTP is we are using and we put TLS SSLs on that encryption, it become a HTTPS. When HTTPS is used, the TLS SSL certificate will be confirmed that a certain provider is claimed to be a transmit on a secure. If suppose we have implemented TLS SSL certificate or HTTPS, so what will happen? The provider is claimed to be a transmit on a secure channel only. Means it will not send as an encrypted way. A web page will transmit its SSL certificate which contain the public key required. So what will happen in this particularly SSL TLS implemented or in HTTPS I can say what will happen is the SSL certificate which is contain the public key required to begin the secure session when a user connect to it. So to more understand this point, I have mentioned of for these particular webs like contain or already I mentioned the references from which I have referred these contain and I have written or wrote that particular contain. So last point, so the SSL-TLS handshake is a series of back and forth messages between two computers. So in the SSL-TLS handshake, what will happen is a series of back and forth messages between the two computers, the client and server, used to create secure connection. So what will happen in this when we are using SSL-TLS, there will be a secure connection will be stabilized to sending and receiving the data from the client and server side will happening. So this is let me just give me a minute. I will open one website which is mentioned in the below and explain you how HTTPS will working. Okay, just give me a sec. So now I open this link which I showed on the slides or PPT which I shared. So that link is as a reference I mentioned already in that particular document. Now, just want to give you an overview how does HTTP works basically. How does HTTPS works? And so let's, as already discussed, there is a client and server model. So here is the example of the similar, like there is a left side client and the right side server. Okay, so what will happen for this is a very good blog in which they explain step by step how these things are happening. That's why I opened this blog in this particular video to give a good example to understand more properly. So in this, they have what they're showing, like first the TCP handshake is done, second the certificate checks has been done, key exchange has been done, and data transmission. So first step is TCP sync packet will be sent, and in response from the server, from client TCP sync packet has been sent, and in response TCP sync plus acknowledgement will come, and in from the client side again TCP acknowledgement sent. So what this will happen is through this it will understand easily anyone like the connection is established. Now next step is the certificate check. So now what will happen, client send hello message. Okay, now server send hello message with the certificate, and server hello done. So what will happen, like here first point, one point I want to highlight which I forget to mention, sorry. So here is like asymmetric encryption is happening while connection establishment. Now here is like certificate check is I already explained like how its check happen. Now third point is key exchange. So what will happen first, I will tell you the key exchange, the client key exchange will have done and change with cipher specific. And then finish. From server side, the chain is specific and finish. So I will explain you from the below point how they have mentioned. Like if you gone through on third point, they are mentioned like after validating the SSL certificate, as I already mentioned, the certificate is validated, the client generate a session key. So what they are mentioning, here in left side, the session key has been generated and encrypted it using the public key. So client has encrypted the session key with the own public key. Now when the server received that encrypted session key and decrypt it with the server side private key. Okay. Now what will happen next? Now that both the client and server hold the same session key as a symmetric key, the encrypted data is transmitted in a secure bidirectional way. Now what happened, like encrypted data, it can be like last step is the data transmission. Now already it's finished, the session established. Now encrypted data is transmitted. Now data will be transmitted as an encrypted way. Okay, so last, but the point is one point I want to highlight, which they mentioned very good, is like the security, the asymmetric encryption goes only one way. Why? The point is, why does the HTTPS switch to symmetric encryption? The first two reasons they mention is security or server resources. The asymmetric encryption goes only one way. This means that if that server tries to send the encrypted data back to the client, anyone can be decrypt the data using the public key easily. So it's very straightforward. Server resources, the server asymmetric encryption adds quite a lot of mathematical overhead. That's all, right? So if you don't know about that asymmetric symmetric, you just need to Google it, or you need to read about the books from computer networks and all. You will go better. If you want such sessions and all, please mention in comments. So I will try to make a good videos for encryption and all that. Second point is, so it is not suitable to for a data transmission in a long session. When we are from the browser, when we are continuously sending a data, receiving data, so for long session, it is not good to make use of such asymmetric key encryption. So what do you now? uh, uh, from this, I can say like, so they also one point I can mention like here, how much performance overhead does the HTTPS add compared to HTTP? So that will be the next point. So we will not go in that point, but now from this we will try to conclude our blog. And thanks for watching this blog. If you have any doubt, anything, you can mention your queries, question in the comment section, and please subscribe our channel and like our video. Thank you for watching.